male and one child. Um, it appears to be a South Asian family that resides here at the apartment. It appears that it's an estranged couple, so there's definitely a domestic violence nexus to this once again. What we know is that it appears that for several months now, at least, this couple has possibly been going through divorce proceedings or some type of formal separation. There has been a history of some ongoing issues between the two. More recently, it may have led to an allegation where the adult male had possibly injured the young child, that would be his daughter. So we're definitely going to look into that as well. One of the neighbors indicated that it had been approximately 5 months that he had been seen here on a more regular basis, but he has been seen since then. One of the recent reports may have been related to him possibly slashing her car tires, the his female wife tires. So that was also being looked at or will be looked at as well. This morning, when she didn't appear to work, she works at a school connected to a mosque, we're told, which was very strange for her not to show up. They sent somebody, and by then law enforcement was already on the scene. From the apparent observations that I just made right now, it appears that she was perhaps getting ready to go to work with the child when most likely confronted by the male party. And again, everything's concentrated within the living area and the kitchen area. The preliminary information that we have right now is that it would have been the male individual, the male suspect who was the husband, would have shot his wife, who we believe is his wife, his 4.5-year-old daughter, and his mother-in-law, which would have been his wife's mother. We do observe a automatic pistol, semi-automatic pistol that's next to his person. It hasn't been touched yet due to the scene still being processed. And very tragic situation, especially with a 4-year-old involved. It just breaks your heart, beyond words. And so that's the information we have. It's all contained there at the scene. And briefly in Spanish, mañana recibimos una llamada a estos apartamentos. Al llegar, nuestros oficiales encontraron a 4 personas que habían sido baleadas. Parece ser una pareja, un incidente de violencia doméstica. Parece ser que el hombre le disparó a su suegra, a su esposa y a su niña de 4 años. Los 4 están muertos. Sí encontramos una pistola en el lado del hombre y parece ser que esto es un incidente de asesinato y después un suicidio, que a veces ha sido muy común en esta comunidad con incidentes de violencia doméstica. Parece ser que esta pareja estaba pasando por un divorcio en este momento y es la información que tenemos en este momento. Any questions?
How many, you mentioned that there's been some type of history of domestic violence in this apartment. How recent was the last call that police got?
I believe the incident related to the possible injury to a child, it appears that an allegation was being made that the adult male, the husband, had tried to injure the daughter. And so we'll have to look into that. That was here within the last few weeks, we believe. I'd have to confirm that, but that's the information we have. The others were related to her tires possibly being slashed. I don't know if he was the direct suspect or was actually seen or was just suspected that he was, and possibly some other calls for service related to child custody, which isn't always uncommon when you're talking about divorce, ongoing divorce issues. That tends to crop up quite a bit. So that's the information we have at this point.
So real quick, was he staying there?
We were told that he was no longer staying. He was estranged. He was no longer. He showed up apparently this morning. He had been seen on and off occasionally stopping by. Obviously, they have a child together, but to our knowledge, he was no longer staying here at this apartment.
So he broke into the house? Or?
It appears I'm just all preliminary, just from my own observations, and our investigators are here doing the scene. It appears by my cursory look that she was maybe exiting the apartment with the daughter, possibly to go to school, get to work, as was her routine. When she opened the door, was confronted. It appears that something happened there at the immediate entrance to the apartment and then the kitchen area. And so again, a very tragic situation.
¿Puedes decirlo eso en español, algo así, por favor? ¿Cómo fue la transición en que este hombre llegó y
Sí.
llamadas que hubo antes.
Parece ser que ella se estaba preparando para salir de casa, tenía su bolsillo, también estaba, parece que un lado de su niña de 4 años. Parece ser que él se acercó a ellos cuando iban saliendo, pudo entrar a la casa y comenzó a disparar. Parece que todo sucedió cerca de la entrada del apartamento. Si hay, parece ser que hay llamadas anteriores, una de él fue acusado de tal vez haber herido a su hija de alguna manera, y también llamadas donde sus llantas fueron cortadas de la mujer aquí. Parece ser que también el esposo fue sospechoso, y también casos de custodia sobre la niña parece ser, pero eso es algo que vamos a tener que investigar.
Do we know how the child was injured? Or a neighbor, how the child was injured?
The allegation, and it's again preliminary, is that he had potentially tried to drown her.
Drown her?
But we don't know what that means or how much evidence was of that. So again, that'll be something that we'll look at. And again, I always want to just amplify that all this is still preliminary, because we still need to put all the pieces together, talk to potential friends and relatives. They were familiar that there have been ongoing divorce issues, and that, and so there was care and concern for her. And so all of this will be pieced together, even their full identities. All we're going is just by very preliminary information at this point. But we'll confirm those details, but still preliminary.
Have other family been notified?
Not at this moment, because the ME's office, the Harris County Institute of Forensic Sciences, will handle the formal notifications, but just based on a coworker that showed up here to check on them, just that, we're pretty sure that it's going to be the same family that's being discussed. Again, they're a South Asian family. It appears to be the adult male, and the weapon was found next to his body, and then the female, which would have been his wife, and then her mother, and then a 4.5 child. So I don't know what they're originally from Pakistan, I believe, but we don't know specifically in terms of other next of kin.
What are neighbors saying about what they heard or saw?
They just heard some gunshots. Just not rapid, but pretty much in succession. Approximately 4 shots, I believe, and that's about all that they heard. And then we ascended on the apartment complex.
¿Nos puede decir dónde quedaron las víctimas?
It was very recent that happened. I don't think any charges may have been filed on that yet. But again, I don't know the history. I was just told it was possibly related to some type of drowning. I don't know the details or what kind of evidence was involved with that.
¿Nos puede describir la escena dónde quedaron los fallecidos?
Están en la parte al entrar al apartamento, cerca de la puerta, dentro del apartamento, en la área de la sala principal y en la cocina.
Pero entonces la niña fue ahogada.
I don't know about his criminal history yet or anything. Again, we'll go based on once they make a formal identification, but we don't know if there's a actual criminal history.
The bigger picture of this idea of murder-suicides are up 11% this year. We see more and more each year. I mean, yet again, here we are, another domestic violence situation, another family taken out. We're here again.
Yeah, it's very tragic. We talk about this quite often, and we kind of give just information. These situations could become very volatile. Obviously, that had been an ongoing situation. There's child custody disputes. We never know what may have triggered someone to even think about doing something like this, but it always ends up obviously in a very tragic situation. We always encourage everyone to continue to seek help. There's a lot of resources, counseling that's available. I know the Houston Area Women's Center has a 24/7 hotline. Unfortunately, at the end of the day, that no matter what kind of resources are out there, no matter what kind of protection, at the end of the day, if somebody is hell-bent on resorting to violence, there's great likelihood that they can. And so we just encourage everyone to really be mindful of their situation. But it shows quickly how quickly something like this could turn. By all appearances, it appears she was headed to work this morning, as she does every day. Very reliable worker, from what we're told, heading out with the child, and to be confronted by violence was just horrific, and especially for the child that's of no fault of their own and had no dealings, obviously, with the marriage and any issues that may have been involved.
¿Puede decir eso en español lo que es la dimensión de esta tragedia?
Sí, pues siempre esta es una tragedia de la violencia doméstica. Hemos hablado muchas ocasiones donde pasa eso, donde la persona mata a su pareja y después se vuelve a suicidir. Ha pasado varias veces este año y en cada año parece ser que ocurre mucho. Siempre le recordamos a la gente que hay servicios para que puedan buscar ayuda y recursos que existen, pero al final si alguien quiere tomar violencia como lo vimos esa mañana, ella solamente estaba saliendo como cualquier otra mañana con su niña, parece ser que iba al trabajo cuando fue encontrado por esta persona con odio en su corazón en ese momento, iba a tomar cosas en una manera violenta y qué lástima que tuvo este fin.
Algo así, con esto no se deben de confiar las víctimas, especialmente mujeres que están en proceso de divorcio. ¿Cuándo es el momento que deben de decir, ok, esto fue suficiente violencia?
Realmente al primer momento que hay escenas de violencia es importante tener juicio que puede pasar algo así. Muchas veces comienza con algo menor y comienza a graduar la situación o incrementar la violencia a que se comienza a veces con algo, tal vez es un grito. La violencia no siempre es algo física, puede también ser emocionalmente, puede ser de muchas maneras. Entonces es importante en saber cuáles son las señas y comenzar a prepararse. Hay unas personas que viven toda su vida en una situación violenta y hay otras que al primer momento salen y huyen. Entonces, obviamente, cada situación va a ser diferente, pero es importante decirle a los seres queridos qué es lo que está pasando, a gente de confianza y que se traten de proteger lo más posible, porque a veces, de una manera u otra, puede pasar esto. No siempre, pero cuando hay arma, cuando hay la tensión de un divorcio, puede pasar algo terrible como lo que pasó esta mañana.
In terms of security here at this complex, do you guys know any way of how he was able to enter in through the gates, or if the gates were closed?
Not really sure yet about all the security measures on site or anything like that. You know, in any complex at the end of the day, even if it's a secured gate, you know, once somebody comes out, it's easy to come in. And I believe he did possibly live here before. So unless passcodes were changed or anything like that, he probably would have known or had some access to getting in and knew the way to get in. And so at the end of the day, again, I mean, unless there's super hard security measures in place, if somebody wants to get in, they probably can find a way in. And he did live here before, is what it's our understanding.
To piggyback off what Courtney asked about the increase in murder-suicides, how challenging is it for you guys to intervene and prevent these things when a lot of what's happening is concentrated inside of a home?
I think that's a great question and a great point. A couple years back, I'm not sure this year, but a couple years back, about 44% of the murders at that time had a domestic violence nexus. And with all the talk of crime, we could, you know, talk about all the different strategic measures and tools in place, but you can't really police what's going on inside a home or what somebody's going through. You know, and it's we could always look back in hindsight and look back at the clues or the warning signs or things that are there, but it's incredibly challenging just because we're not going to be inside every home, and so it's just very hard. And sometimes as well, we believe or have a false insecurity like, well, they would never be violent. Maybe it's just a verbal. But domestic violence also can include emotional and psychological abuse as well. So it's important to be aware of those signs as well. It's not always just physical. It could start with simply breaking a person down mentally and emotionally, and then eventually it might graduate to violence. And in this case, it's just no words to think, like, why take their lives, the mother-in-law, the child of all, you know, and it's just what goes through somebody's mind is something we just can't fathom, but unfortunately we see it far too often. No estoy seguro. Hace unos años sé que por lo menos 44% de nuestros homicidios estaban conectados con violencia doméstica. O sea, y ya hemos visto varios este año, pero no sé específicamente este año, pero un ejemplo de que muchas veces el crimen está conectado con la violencia doméstica y no siempre, obviamente, podemos estar dentro de las viviendas de las personas.
Would you say these types of crimes are more of like a cyclical situation where it's not like you guys can make this number come down, but you just see them more at certain points?
I wouldn't say so much cyclical because it could happen at any point. We see it far too often, and just, you know, it could happen at any point. We did say with the beginning of COVID, for example, that we would start seeing an increase just because with cabin fever and people in, the problems don't go away. The problems that were there before still exist. If there's an ongoing divorce and it's becoming toxic or difficult, then, you know, we do have that possibility where things just could become violent. You know, one of the programs that we launched when I first became sheriff was working with a judge for a gun surrender program. And it's in one of the family courts, and it's been pretty successful. And what we do is we encourage someone going through divorce, if they have a weapon, to be able to surrender that weapon voluntarily and for us to store it safely while they're going through a situation. Because had a weapon not been present here at that moment, this may have been an argument, it may even turn physical, but not necessarily a deadly scene, or it would have given somebody a time to run. You know, this happened so quickly. Obviously, he was determined to do this, and he was armed with a weapon. So the opportunity was there, the weapon was in hand, and he carried it out.
Thank you all.
Thank you all. Thank you.